We have one of the three candidates running the fourth ward joining us today. And possibly the other candidates that are absent will be offering their points of view online through our Game Changers questionnaire, which will be available online. Just for your information, Mr. Bolden, the game plan for today. You will have 2 minutes to offer an opening statement, and we have our timekeeper, Rose Joshua, who is not in the hall yet, but there will be a yellow card flash to let you know when you're down to 30 seconds, and a red card for 15, and then that means you must cut. And so our panel of questioners are also aware of that as well. And then at the conclusion of the questioning, you'll be able to offer, of course, closing remarks. I am a resident of the Fourth Ward, so I might throw in a few questions myself, as that's the Fourth Ward, the best ward in Chicago. Yay! So, but of course, that will be your one and only opportunity to offer your cheers. We ask that everyone hold your applause and your accolades of praise until the end of the session, although you're the only one here, so it might be okay. And so we certainly look forward to hearing your vision and what we have in store as residents of the Fourth Ward. So without further ado, please share with us your vision and mission for the Fourth Ward. Norman Bolden.
Thank you. Let me say thank you to the panel for having me. Again, I'm Norman Bolden, candidate for alderman in the Fourth Ward. My vision for the Fourth Ward is that every resident throughout the Fourth Ward will receive quality service, accessibility, accountability, but most importantly, transparency in all of the governance and actions of or by the alderman. Accountability is key, and in the Fourth Ward, process is a real issue. And unfortunately, a lot of decisions have been made with the lack of the public process. It is my commitment to assure that all residents will be active parts of the decision process within the Fourth Ward. I especially am committed to our seniors in the Fourth Ward to assure that all seniors' issues are addressed. I'm a strong supporter of neighborhood schools. I'm a huge advocate for a school in particular, Diet High School, and that we maintain Diet as a Chicago public-run school and not as a charter school, nor as a contract school. Those are points that I think are that more than 2,000 residents within the ward made it very, very clear that they want Diet to remain a CPS-run school, and that it will be part of my mission to ensure that that happens. Let me just give you a little bit more information about me. I'm a business owner. I own Norman's Bistro at 1001 East 43rd Street, as well as Room 43. In fact, the facility that houses Room 43 was my father's TV repair and record shop in the late 50s. My father was a Chicago fireman here in Chicago starting in the 50s for 30 plus years. So I mention that to say I value legacy, and I'm building on my father's legacy. I'm building on the legacy of the independence that once was within the Fourth Ward, and it is my mission to restore that independency.
Good evening, Mr. Bolden. You already answered my first question about Diet. I think everyone here knows education is near and dear to our hearts. Let me move to a housing question. Do you support the Mariano's? I think people are familiar with the Mariano's grocery store. Mariano's being built on public housing land before a plan for where the replacement housing will be built is made public.
You know, I am challenged with, again, the process. This is another issue of process within in the Fourth Ward. For the current alderman to announce that Mariano's is coming is one thing, but to announce it that it is coming on, it will be built on property that is owned by CHA, which means public land. Most importantly, there was a redevelopment agreement that assured that persons that were displaced could come back to that community. Well, this Mariano's is taking up, I believe it's 70, what is, not acres, but it's taking up a huge footprint. So it causes one to ask the question, where's the commitment to the replacement housing? Again, to have made a public statement that a project is coming and not have the community input is a real issue within the Fourth Ward. So I embrace Mariano's. I do not endorse the process, and most importantly, the fact that we have not addressed the replacement housing. Where will it go if Mariano's is going in place of the committed locations?
All right. So in the last 6 months or so in our country, we have had the horror of the murders, the police crimes in Ferguson and New York, but also in Chicago. And at the same time, we've had just a wonderful outpouring of protest activity, which has been beautiful, young people all over the country. Now, there's a growing demand for civilian control of the police here. And there's draft legislation that my organization has created calling for an elected civilian police accountability council. This has the support of over 50 families of victims of police crimes, a growing number of churches, Ms. Joshua from the Southside chapter, the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, and all of those youth organizations that have been marching and marching and marching, they all supported it as well. So my question for you, sir, is would you support, if you are elected, the adoption of such legislation by the Chicago City Council, a civilian police accountability council?
Let me answer it in this way. As I support an elected school board, I would support the same. It is important that we as a people, we as a taxpayer, have a say-so in any public process. And the Chicago Police Department is, in fact, part of that public process. So yes, very much so, I will support such as I do an elected school board.
In 2012, the Chicago Department of Public Health closed 6 of the 12 public mental health clinics, resulting in disruption of care, suicides, gang violence, a reduction in the services to Chicago residents, especially in low-income, underserved communities. Research indicates that there is a significant unmet need for mental health services throughout the city. Would you support an additional $2.71 million to the CDPH budget each year for 4 years to open or reopen 2 mental health clinics each year?
Well, first of all, I wrestle with how one can find the heart to close a mental institution, period, for whatever reason. Is that if we can find monies in city budgets to address the mayor's pet projects, then why can't we find a way to assure that we're helping the underserved, especially the mentally ill? So very much so, yes.
All right.
Going to the issue of legacy, I'm going to ask you a Great Migration question. This is about Recognizing the critical contribution of America's Great Migration to the history of Chicago, state your reasons why you would or would not support the funding of the Black Metropolis National Heritage Area Commission to continue research, documentation, and promotion of the region as central to Chicago's tourism economic development plans, and why you would or would not support the expansion of workforce development training financed by the city to include tourism opportunities such as transportation, accommodations, entertainment, recreation, conferences, events, food, beverage in the Black neighborhoods of the city.
Very interesting question. First, let me just say I would support both aspects or each of the issues that you just asked about, because it is important that we know our history. It is most important for our young brothers and sisters to be able to have resources and avenues to go and get an understanding of it. As it relates to workforce development, by all means, any mean possible that we can get people off the street and trained and working, I'm for it. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a question. Over in my ward, we're seeing a lot of great development going on over in the Fourth Ward, especially over in the Hyde Park area. It's starting to look a lot like downtown Chicago. Are you committed to keeping the South Side, Hyde Park, Kenwood, that whole flavor that we've been enjoying over the years in terms of its cultural distinctions, or are you in favor of us mimicking and being a mirror of downtown 1 mag mile?
You know, the Fourth Ward comprised of neighborhoods, and it is important that we continue to have them as neighborhoods and not mini downtowns or North Avenue. It's a community. And so as we're developing, we have to not only look at 53rd Street, we have to look at the concerns of 47th, 43rd, 39th, Cottage Grove, to ensure that the entire ward is on par with what's happening on 53rd Street. Not to say we want the rest of the ward to look like the new downtown that the current administration has created, but we want to assure is that the dollars that are being spent, the TIF dollars, the SPIF dollars, are being distributed fairly throughout the ward so that we have a solid community. And many of you may not be aware of the remap of the Fourth Ward. So it does not no longer just include the South Side. The ward now goes all the way to Jackson on the north. So we... Thank you. Sorry.
Do you have another, because I can offer follow-up this. Go ahead.
So let's switch gears a little bit here, Mr. Bolden. Controversial topic. Do you support taking park land to build the Obama Presidential Library on, considering one proposal suggests using either Washington Park or Jackson Park as the site?
You know, it goes back to much of what I indicated in my vision. It's process. And the way that this concept was presented to us, there was no process. It was Mayor Rahm Emanuel announced on television, I'm going to make it happen. Well, this is public land, and public land requires public process. Now, as it relates to the University of Chicago and its involvement, they have to make it also public that the university has purchased 11 acres of land just west of King Drive. So why aren't they building it on their land? They want to build it on Park District land to only increase the value of the land that they've purchased. If we continue to allow this kind of thing to happen, as is happening with the park adjacent to McCormick Place, Sewer Park on Division, if we start giving up our historical treasures, when will it stop? So I think that they need to look at other avenues as to where it should go, but I do believe that Chicago should have it.
So you brought up the University of Chicago, just as a quick follow-up. What would you do as alderman to encourage the University of Chicago's medical center to bring a level 1 adult trauma center to the south side of Chicago?
Well, let's just say the University of Chicago currently has and will have many asks of the alderman. And my one ask would be that as a give back, we find a way to carve out space for a trauma center at the University of Chicago Hospital. And I know that it is possible. And again, the fact that they have many asks and some very large asks, this very small one should not be a deal breaker for them. And hopefully we can negotiate a way to make it happen.
I don't actually have a follow-up question. I will just say that I'm not officially here representing the University of Illinois at Chicago, but you know, there is another site that's being considered in the city of Chicago.
I'm going to take Joe's
That's fine.
and ask him mental health also, but this is on housing, because it's really important in going back to Mariano's. Would you support the ordinance to provide the much-needed oversight of the CHA?
Very much so. In fact, you know what? Let me tell you. One thing Chicago is lacking is oversight in many areas. So in any opportunity that we can find to assure that the missions are being met, I'm on board with it. So yes, I clearly would support oversight of CHA, oversight of the mayor, oversight of all 50 aldermen. Because again, you know, people will be a bit more conscious and careful in their decision making when there's oversight.
Now, can I ask a mental health question, please? As you know, the clinics, the 6 clinics are underserved, understaffed, and underfunded. And if we had the opportunity to be a part of insurance care network, our clients would be able to attend the clinics. At this point, if they have insurance, they cannot go to the public mental health clinics. So what we're asking is, would you support efforts to get CDPH, Chicago Department of Public Health, to join managed care networks in order to be able to bill for services and allow clients to attend the 6 public mental health clinics? And may I add, the people that are coming out of jail and prison that have mental health problems cannot attend those 6 public mental health clinics because they are a part of the insurance network.
Wow. You know, again, once I am alderman, I will definitely become a part of the Progressive Reform Coalition. And I believe that coalition is really about moving the agenda of the constituents and the city overall. And I say that to say that I will work tirelessly to assure that whatever opportunities can be created for the mentally ill, we make happen. That's a population that unfortunately cannot help themselves. So we, as spokespersons, community leaders, must do the work on their behalf. So that is my mission, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is, excuse me, this is a question about red light cameras, booting, and seizures, okay? Would you support the removal of all red light and speed cameras throughout the city, restoration of a reasonable time span between traffic light changes, and a complete overhaul of all booting and seizure policies and practices. Oh, okay.
Very much so. I've been the victim of a few red light tickets myself, so I understand it, and I understand the frustration of it. But most importantly, the red light camera has only served as a revenue generator for the city of Chicago. It has not avoided any accidents. It has only been a cash cow for this city, and I would definitely advocate the removal of it and look at other ways that will not be such a cost detriment to the citizens of the city of Chicago to better control our traffic patterns.
I think we'll have time for maybe a few more questions, and I did have one also responding to legacy and entrepreneurship in the Fourth Ward. As a small business owner, what do you see needs to be in place to encourage more small business development and entrepreneurship? And do you see that as being the key to, or the pathway to, economic sustainability in the Fourth Ward?
You know, as you know, or I'm sorry, each ward has provided TIF opportunities, SPIF opportunities, small business improvement. So we need to assure that those dollars that are coming to the community are benefiting small business. You know, it's kind of vexing that a big box like the development at 53rd in Lake Park would receive $24 million in TIF monies to only then be sold to the University of Chicago, to further be sold to someone overseas. We have to redirect those dollars to small business, because yes, we want small business, but we want to sustain them. And to do that, we have to create incentives, and those incentives would be, again, utilizing TIF dollars and SPIF to assist small, boutique, medium-sized businesses throughout, specifically the Fourth Ward. As a small business owner, I understand the struggle of trying to stay in business and trying to meet payroll. And if there is city incentives, then they need to be utilized locally.
Well, we're actually coming to the close of this forum. Being the sole representative from the Fourth Ward, we want to thank you so much for coming and honoring the invitation. And we would extend to you now an opportunity to offer closing remarks. And does that include a coupon to the restaurant? Norman's Bistro. Is that Chicago politics?
Well, that coupon offer is available for the next 10 minutes. Anyone can get to Norman's Bistro in the next 10 minutes. Again, thank you so very much for having me as a part of your panel. I would just like to, again, express my vision for the Fourth Ward, and that is, again, that every citizen across the Fourth Ward would receive, again, quality service, transparency, accountability, and accessibility. That is something that I am committed to providing to the residents of the Fourth Ward. I commit to being an advocate for every resident. I support neighborhood schools. I believe that in order to have strong communities, you must have strong schools, and that there are a few elements that must be in place in order for us to have strong schools. And that is, again, having a challenging curriculum, a curriculum that is engaging, having wraparound programs where there is support for our children, ensuring that the quality of education is on point, assuring that we focus on high-level teaching and not high-stakes testing, that we have transitional parent and community involvement. If we have those elements, we will be guaranteed to have strong schools, strong communities, and most importantly, safe communities. And that is the mission of Norman Bolden, to assure that the Fourth Ward receives such. So, if you're committed to having more in the Fourth Ward, then on February 24th, punch 54.
Thank you, Norman Bolden.